2023 fantasy football season isn't over quite yet, but that doesn't mean we can't have just a little bit of fun and look ahead to what 2024 first round fantasy drafts might very well look like. As always, it's a great day to be great. No slow rollout needed, everyone. Let's just go ahead and view these top 12 names right off the bat. Now I'm working under the assumption of one quarterback, full PPR scoring, and your traditional 12-team league size. At the top of the draft, I think things are pretty straightforward, guys. We have CMC sitting at the 101, which honestly, the only reason he hasn't done that for 5 years running is because we all got the idea in our head that maybe he was more injury prone than the normal running back. Well, fast forward to current day, and he is the heart and soul of this 49ers lethal offensive attack, and he hasn't missed a regular game since 2021. Right behind CMC, there is Tyreek Hill, who we'll see if he can find his way to get to 2,000 receiving yards after unfortunately having to sit out week 15. But regardless, guys, we are looking at one of the very best wide receiver seasons ever. Still very much attached to Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel. Yeah, Tyreek did talk a little bit about retirement during the offseason, but that was going to be an extra 2 full seasons removed after this one. Tyreek, easy number 1 overall wide receiver ahead of 2024. This brings us to the 103-104 turn, where I am going with the LSU Gritty brothers in the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson order, almost entirely because we just simply don't know what Justin Jefferson's situation under center is going to be like ahead of 2024. Now, maybe we do see Kirk Cousins recover from the Achilles, return, and just keep on keeping on. I mean, this dude was top 8 in completion percentage over expected and EPA per dropback before he got injured this season. By far the best quarterback that we could hope to have in Minnesota, at least for Justin Jefferson's fantasy aspirations, because guys, I understand it's December. We haven't looked too far ahead yet, but we're talking about Ryan Tannehill and Baker Mayfield headlining the free agency QB markets right now. I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to find too many noteworthy QB prospects with their first round pick projected to be in the 20s range. And yeah, I guess they can go out and trade, but for who? Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Derek freaking Carr? I'm not loving that, guys. I'm not loving that nearly as much as Kirk Cousins. Okay, you know, the Kyler thing would be pretty cool. And he was a Vikings fan growing up, for those wondering. But all in all, guys, Justin Jefferson coming in at my 104. Still easily one of the most talented wide receivers in the game. We all know that. But Tyreek with Tua, also Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. Just that enough uncertainty has me putting Jefferson as the 3rd wide receiver off the board. I use a similar tie-breaking process for the next 2 picks, CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown going off at the 105, 106 selections. Honestly, it's just the Cowboys offense having, at this point, sorry, Eagles fans, but a more established passing quarterback. We also have a more pass-heavy offense, with the Cowboys ranking 10th in pass play rate in non-garbage time situations compared to the Eagles' ever-run-heavy offense. And there's just less target competition to go around. Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks could feasibly be on the way out. Cowboys could save over $17 million against the cap if they decided to do that. But even if they're not, like, those guys are not holding a candle to the sort of competition that Devonta Smith and even Dallas Goedert bring on a weekly basis in Philly. So I'm not going to sit here and disagree with anyone that believes AJ Brown is a better real life talent than CeeDee Lamb, but I think the volume and the offensive environment checkboxes are firmly in CeeDee's favor, enough for me to give him the tiebreaker at the 105. Up next, we have our 2nd running back off the board in the form of Jonathan Taylor. I do expect him to get back to being fantasy's best running back, not named Christian McCaffrey, with just a little better luck from the injury gods here in 2024. Because, guys, I mean, a lot of the problems we had about Taylor going into this year have been completely evaporated. It's just unfortunately been an issue of getting him actually on the football field. But seriously, coming in, we had the contract issue. Solved. They gave him a new extension. We also had to wonder what this Shane Steichen offense was going to do in terms of rotating their running backs. Well, it's actually been fantastic. There's been very little rotation. Zach Moss as a featured workhorse without Taylor, and right before Taylor was getting injured, we actually did see him eclipse that 90% snap rate and get more of a true 3-down role than we almost ever saw under Frank Reich. And then finally, guys, don't look now, but this Anthony Richardson / Gardner Minshew-led offense has actually been pretty damn good at scoring the football this year. Specifically, guys, 11th in the league with 33 total touchdowns. That's only one single score behind offenses like the Rams, Chargers, and Chiefs. Pretty good stuff going on in Indy. And once we add a healthy version of one of the league's most talented running backs, I do see JT blasting off in 2024 and putting forward the 2nd best production at the position. Up next, we have two Lions at the 108, 109 spots. Now, I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown leading this off is going to draw too much criticism. He should still be attached to guys like Brian Johnson, Jared Goff, and just overall be the focal point of a Lions offense that we fully expect to once again be the same top 10 scoring unit it's been the past 2 years. So, sun gods stay sun gods. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been shining awfully bright here to start his NFL career. I think the bigger point of discussion is more so Jahmyr Gibbs coming in at the 109 because, yes, on the one hand, he is still very much splitting this backfield and expecting to do so with David Montgomery in the future. But guess what, guys? When you have an offense that is ranked inside the top 2 in terms of expected backfield PPR points per game in each of the past 3 seasons, we don't need just one running back to have the entire workload. It is a bit easier to share things. So even with this split usage, guys, Jahmyr Gibbs this year is the RB11 in expected PPR points per game. That's ahead of guys like Bijan Robinson, like Derrick Henry, more featured number 1 running backs, but they don't have as big of a pass down role and they aren't in as high of an upside scoring offense. So with Gibbs already showing out as a rusher, I mean, he leads the NFL in terms of yards per carry among all running backs with at least 100 rush attempts. And he's also been a top 10 running back in terms of his just overall production in PPR points from the passing game. So with Gibbs, ascending second year talent in a great offense with a very good, albeit not great workload, that's the type of guy I am more than happy with taking at the bottom of round 1. This takes us to the final 3 picks of round 1, starting off with Garrett Wilson, who hasn't put forward round 1's numbers this year, but my God, guys, watch the film and you'll see Garrett flashing all over the place in contested catch situations after the catch, just getting open even though the football isn't coming his way. Has been incredible and accordingly is ESPN's 3rd best receiver on the season in terms of their open score. So getting Aaron Rodgers back breaks a lot of tiebreakers for me, and also 30-year wide receivers historically do make up the highest portion of top 12 performers at the position. Give me Garrett Wilson booming in a major way ahead of 2024. After that, we have Stephon Diggs, who, I get it, guys, has disappointed a little bit here down the stretch, but you still look up at just his 17-game pace this year, and we're still talking about a guy that should wind up with around 111 catches, 1,264 yards, and double-digit scores once again. So really has just consistently been this upside wide receiver 1 ever since joining forces with Josh Allen in 2020. And when you start comparing Diggs against some of these other 30-plus-year-old wide receivers like Davante Adams, like Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, those sorts of guys, I just think the Josh Allen tiebreaker and the overall volume associated with this pass-heavy Bills offense is enough for me to trust Diggs and not get too concerned about, again, a 6-7 game sample size here, when again, we have 3.5 years telling us that Diggs certainly deserves to continue to be a round 1 fantasy pick. And finally, capping off the end of round 1, it is Rams running back Kyren Williams making a huge leap from his honestly nearly undrafted ADP in 2023. But you just take one look at the utilization and it becomes abundantly clear why we should trust Kyren Williams moving forward. At least at this point in time, guys. Don't be throwing this video in my face come freaking May when the Rams decide to use a 2nd round pick on a running back. But just as things stand right now, he got Cam Akers out of town. Henderson and Freeman have done nothing to take away his workload. Even an injury in return has done nothing to stop Sean McVay from feeding Kyren Williams literally one of the most fantasy-friendly roles in the entire game. So with Kyren Williams, again, I know, history of draft capital, we always wonder about these day 3 guys eventually, turning back into a pumpkin at the end of the day. But as things stand right now, we're ranking him as a top 3 running back on a weekly basis in the year 2023, and I don't expect that to change in 2024, assuming McVay is cool with continuing to feature Williams as the offense's lead back. Again, guys, that's my top 12. Obviously, can only fit 12 names in here, so I do have a bunch of honorable mentions to quickly list off, including Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Bijan Robinson, Austin Eckler, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Travis Kelce, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts, Devin Achane, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Alvin Kamara, and even Rachaad White. So if you want to put any of those guys in the top 12, I wouldn't overly disagree, but they're not in mine. So at the same time, I do disagree at least a little bit. But holler in the comments where you think I'm especially off. Again, I realize we're going to have plenty of time to adjust these ranks. Don't hold me completely at this, for the upcoming year, but just a fun time to look ahead because I don't know about you guys, having some of these eliminated teams all already has me just fiending to get out there and improve things in 2024. So no better way to do that than, again, get our feet into the water just a little bit early. But that's it for me, guys. Again, thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe if that's your kind of thing. But otherwise, just go win those 2023 championships, and we'll have plenty more 2024 content here at Fantasy Life when it comes that time.